What's up, YouTube? Zero here, and today I have an awesome Charizard EX plus Blacephalon build in Pokemon TCG Pocket. In this video, I'll go over the deck build that you can see on the left-hand side of the screen. I'll talk about each of these cards individually, and I'll talk about why this deck works really well with each other. Before I get into it, I do want to say if you do enjoy this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more Pokemon TCG content. I do a bunch of other video games, so feel free to check those out as well. Without further ado, let's talk about this Charizard EX plus Blacephalon deck in Pokemon TCG Pocket. There is one strategy with this deck that allows it to work. You really don't want to start with Blacephalon in that active slot. If you do, you're pretty much just going to want to sacrifice it. The strategy is simple. Get Charizard EX going as quickly as possible. Do as much damage with Charizard EX as quickly as possible. Hopefully, the hope and the dream is scoring 2 points with your Charizard EX if you can't just flat out win the game with Charizard by itself. After that, if your Charizard is taken out and you haven't won the game, Blacephalon is going to be your closer. Just like in baseball, where the closer comes in at the end of the game to finish it off, that's what Blacephalon is going to be best at. It's closing the game. It cannot start the game because its attack is good, but it's sacrificing itself pretty much. So you want Blacephalon to come in at the end to finish up any Pokemon that your Charizard was not able to take out. But let's talk about the star of this deck, Charizard EX. Charizard has been around for a little while, being released, at least this Charizard. The Steam Artillery Charizard was released with the Shining Revelry packs, so take a look in those packs for this Charizard. And it has two different moves. One is really important. The first, Stoke, for 1 fire energy. You take 3 fire energy from your energy zone and attach it to Charizard EX. So that's going to power you up. You're going to equip 1 energy on Charizard, Stoke, equip 3, and you're almost ready to rock and roll. You'll only need 1 more energy to start attacking with Steam Artillery. Steam Artillery is 5 energy, but you already heard Stoke is what's going to get you there. For 5 energy, you deal 150 damage. What's nice about that is as soon as you get the 5 energy, you're keeping the 5 energy as long as your opponent doesn't have a Pokemon or a card to take those 5 energy away. So you have the 5 energy on your Charizard and you're going to be dealing 150. So again, you want to get Charizard EX with Steam Artillery going as quickly as possible, dealing the 150, hopefully running through all of the Pokemon your opponent throws at you. But if you don't, you're going to have Blacephalon waiting and ready to come in as the closer. But let's talk about the Charizard evolution line first, and then I'll talk more about Blacephalon. I have 1 Charmeleon just in case to help me evolve a little bit quicker if I don't get my rare candies. Charmeleon, this is the Charmeleon from the Shining Revelry packs. Doesn't really matter what Charmeleon you have. I do have the Charmeleon that only costs 2 fire energy to attack, just in case I do need it to attack. That's why I have that one in there. Charmander, I have the one that deals more damage at a cost of energy. Charizard EX, the Steam Artillery one, you're going to have to Stoke. It's going to be almost impossible to get 5 energy onto your Charizard just by equipping from the energy zone. The best decks in the game attack extremely quickly. You're not going to be able to wait that long to equip that much energy on your Charizard to get it going. So you're going to have to utilize Stoke. So I utilize the Charmander that has for 1 fire energy Ember that deals 30 damage. However, with Ember, you're discarding a fire energy from the Pokemon. So you're dealing more damage at a cost of that fire energy. But again, it really doesn't hurt you too much because you're going to have to Stoke with Charizard to really get your Charizard going regardless, just because it's going to take too long to equip all 5 fire energy. This Charmander can be found in the Genetic Apex Charizard packs. Now let's talk about Blacephalon. the other Pokemon in this deck. Blacephalon is a really interesting Pokemon. For 3 energy, 2 fire, 1 colorless, doesn't matter because this is a fire type deck with only fire energy, but for 3 energy, it has Beat Punk. Deals 130 damage, which is absolutely awesome. On the surface, 3 energy for 130 damage is ridiculous. But then you read the effect. This Pokemon also deals 70 damage to itself. Blacephalon only has 100 HP. You are essentially giving yourself a death warrant. You've seen the writing on the wall. You've attacked with Beat Punk. You've pretty much told the opponent, I am sacrificing my Blacephalon to deal 130 damage. That's one of the reasons why I prefer to utilize it as a closer. You're sacrificing this Pokemon, which means you're sacrificing all 3 energy equipped on this Pokemon. I really don't want to take the time to equip 3 energy just to sacrifice my Blacephalon. Can I do it? Sure. Have I done it before and won? Absolutely, because Charizard only requires 1 energy to get to Stoke, to then Stoke and start dealing 150. So it can happen, but it's not great. By the time you get all 3 energy to deal 130, most likely your opponent has already done some form of damage to you. So you're essentially going to be sacrificing your Pokemon if you do attack. That's part of the reason why I don't want to start attacking with Blacephalon. If I do have it in that active slot, I will start equipping energy to something on the bench, and I'll just use Blacephalon as death fodder because it's going to deal a lot of damage to itself. So I'd much rather start equipping energy with something on the bench that won't necessarily die as soon as I attack. Now let's talk about some of the supporting cast. Let's just mention briefly what's always in most decks. 2 Pokeballs to draw basic Pokemon, and 2 Professor's Researches to draw 2 cards to get to all the cards in the deck quicker. Now the basic cards are out of the way, the ones that are typically found in every deck. Let's talk about the rest. Rare Candy is going to be important. I want to get to Charizard as quickly as possible. Rare Candy is going to get me there. For those of you who don't know, Rare Candy has been around since the Celestial Guardians pack's release, and that's where you can find this card if you are looking for it. If you have a basic Pokemon in play, and you have a Stage 2 card in your hand, in this case, Charmander's on the field, Charizard EX is in your hand. If you have Rare Candy, and that Charmander has been on the field for at least 1 turn, you can utilize the Rare Candy to evolve into Charizard. This is going to be great, so you can skip the Stage 1, you evolve right into Charizard, the Stage 2, and you can start getting it rolling quicker by skipping the Stage 1 evolution. You can get Stoke going, and you can start attacking really quickly. That's what can really make this deck great. That's when it's at its peak, and that has been my fastest victories, is when I've had Charmander, Rare Candy, and Charizard just ready to go, and I'm able to really start attacking with Charizard right away. If I don't, it's really a delay until I can get Charizard. Again, Blacephalon can get a kill, absolutely. It's not going to get you more than 1 kill. So really, you want Charizard out there as quickly as possible. If you do get 2 kills with Blacephalon, I can almost guarantee your opponent really messed up. Because at the end of the day, if you're attacking with Blacephalon for 130 and you're leaving yourself with only 30 HP, at least with the deck that I have, your opponent should at that point in time be able to kill you. Again, if they can't, they may have messed up. Next, let's talk about some of the cards that support Charizard, and then I'll talk about some of the cards that support Blacephalon. The obvious one that supports Charizard is Lily. I mentioned it earlier, Charizard is the bread and butter of this deck. I want to keep Charizard alive as much as possible because it's going to be my damage dealer. So I have 2 Lilies, and Lily heals 60 damage from one of your Stage 2 Pokemon, in this case Charizard. That means, as long as I'm not taking a huge amount of damage from a lot of attacks, Lily is going to heal 60 damage in consecutive turns if I need it, which means I can heal up to 120 HP for my Charizard, which is absolutely awesome. In any given battle, you're really going to slow down your opponent from defeating you, which is great. Lily is going to be huge to keeping Charizard alive, and Lily is going to be found in the Celestial Guardians Solgaleo packs. Now let's talk about Sabrina. Sabrina is just a great card. It can throw your opponent off. It can really delay your opponent. It can also force out a Pokemon into that active slot your opponent may not want there. So I do like 2 Sabrinas in this deck as well. Sabrina, for those of you who don't know, you switch out your opponent's active Pokemon to the bench, and of course, your opponent gets to choose the Pokemon from their bench that they put in the active slot. But again, this can really throw off your opponent's strategy. If your opponent has a Pokemon in the active slot that has all of the energy equipped, and you force a Pokemon from the bench out to the active slot, they may not have a means of retreating, so you may trap them. You may force them to not attack because you were able to do that. Or you may force a Pokemon that has all of the energy on itself that's on the bench into the active slot so you can start dealing damage to it. Either way, Sabrina has been a fantastic card since the game dropped to really switch up the strategy of your opponent. I love Sabrina. It's one of my go-to cards and really works in this deck to throw off my opponent's strategy, sometimes to slow them down, or sometimes just to get a Pokemon in that active slot that I can deal damage to that they don't want me to deal damage to, which is absolutely awesome. Sabrina is going to be found in the Genetic Apex Charizard packs. Now I want to talk about a couple of cards that power Blacephalon up. The first is going to be a Pokemon tool. It's Beastite. Beastite is an interesting card in that you have to be doing well for the card to actually be pretty good. And hopefully, as I said earlier, the strategy is deal as much damage with Charizard as possible, then finish it off with Blacephalon. Beastite is nice because the opponent can't play around it. I'm holding on to this card in my hand until I absolutely need it. Let's talk about what it does. Attacks used by the Ultra Beast this card is attached to. Blacephalon is an Ultra Beast, so it can only be attached to Blacephalon and have an effect. But the Ultra Beast that this card is attached to does plus 10 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon for each point you have gotten. So I mentioned earlier in the video that Blacephalon is the closer. Beastite is going to help it close a little bit better. The hope is that you already have 2 points when you're going to be relying on your Blacephalon. You want to hold on to Beastite until the exact last moment. You don't need to equip it early in the match. Why? Because you probably don't have a lot of points early in the match. You may not have any points early in the match. So you're going to avoid a Guzma. Guzma, for those of you who don't know, clears off all of the Pokemon tools. You want to attach Beastite as you're about to attack. You're not going to have to worry about Guzma clearing the cards or clearing the tools. You're going to be able to utilize this right before you attack, and if you do have 2 points, you're going to be dealing 150 damage with Blacephalon now. Not just 130 like its attack is, but you're going to be dealing 20 more damage, which is 150. If you do have 1 point, you'll still be dealing 140, which is really nice, which again can put you over some breaking points. There are a lot of EX Pokemon that have 140 HP. There are a lot of Pokemon in general that have 140 HP. So getting you to 140 damage is going to be great. As long as you have 1 point, Beastite is going to put you in a good spot. The hope, though, is that you're equipping this, you already have 2 points, so your Blacephalon can deal 150 damage. But wait, that's not all. I have 1 red in this deck. And again, there's a reason why I have 1 red. It's really for the end of the game when I am throwing my Blacephalon out there because I need to deal as much damage as possible, because the hope in the dream is that Blacephalon is the closer. If I only have 1 point and I have my Beastite on my Blacephalon and I'm facing an EX Pokemon, I utilize red and I'm going to be dealing 160 damage, which can take out a lot of EX Pokemon. If I have 2 points already and I'm trying to take out an EX Pokemon or an EX Pokemon. Let's talk about EX Pokemon first. If I'm trying to take out an EX Pokemon and I already have 2 points, now my Blacephalon is going to deal 170 damage. That is absolutely ridiculous and is going to take out a lot of EX Pokemon. You can see in this video the Guzzlord EX that I'm facing. My Blacephalon's not there, but just as an example, the Guzzlord that I'm facing has 170 HP. You are going to be able to take out a lot of Pokemon with your Blacephalon combined with Beastite, which can give you either plus 10 or 20 damage depending upon how many points you've gotten, and your red, which can give you, if you're facing an EX Pokemon and you have 2 points, up to 170 damage. So that's absolutely awesome and can really help you finish a game. That's why I call Blacephalon the closer. You're dealing 170 damage with the couple right cards, and that's why I only have 1 of each. I don't need them at the beginning of the match. I need them at the end of the match. So the hope is that they're kind of buried at the bottom of my deck and I'm pulling them at the end of the game. I want my Charizard first. I want my Lily and my Sabrina so I can heal up my Charizard and I can force my opponent's strategy to kind of take a hit. Of course, I need my Rare Candy and my Charmander and maybe Charmeleon to evolve, but that's really what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for my Charmander, Rare Candy, Charizard, Lily and Sabrina at the beginning of the game, and of course, Professor's Research at the beginning of the game. And I'm hoping for my Blacephalon, Red, and Beastite to come at the end so I can finish off my opponent, dealing up to 170 damage. Last, but most certainly not least if needed. If I do need to equip energy onto my Blacephalon, Lusamine is there. That's why I have 1 Lusamine in this deck. So Lusamine, you can use this card only if your opponent has gotten at least 1 point. So if your opponent does have a point or 2 points, you can utilize Lusamine. Choose one of your Ultra Beasts, in this case Blacephalon, attach 2 random energy from your discard pile to that Pokemon. So now if I really need it, I can get 2 energy from my discard pile and attach it to my Blacephalon. So it is a supporter card, it's a trainer card, so I can't combine it with red. However, if I need the energy and my opponent already has 1 point, I can utilize Lusamine, maybe combine it with Beastite, because I already know to use Lusamine, my opponent must already have a point, so hopefully I have a point. Sorry, Beastite is me having a point, but hopefully I have a point. And it's coming down to the end of the game, and you're able to finish off your opponent. So Lusamine is great to make sure that you get that extra energy on your Blacephalon that you may need at the end of the game. Again, it's important that some of these cards are coming at the end of the game with Blacephalon. You never know with the randomness of the game, but it is a really great card to utilize at the end of the game to power your Blacephalon to get that damage that you need. So Lusamine is going to be found in the extra dimensional crisis packs. Blacephalon and Beastite are also going to be found in the extra dimensional crisis packs. Your red is going to be found in your Shining Revelry packs. Let me know in the comments section what you think of this deck. I've found a lot of success with this deck. Of course, it does rely upon a little bit of randomness. You're hoping that you get your Blacephalon, Beastite, and red. Lusamine also towards the end of the match. You're hoping you get your Charizard, your Rare Candy, your Sabrina, and Lily closer to the beginning because you're hoping to go through with Charizard first and then finish off with Blacephalon. Now, if you get Blacephalon first and you have it in that active slot, your goal is going to be to delay as much as possible so you can get your Charizard to go through your opponent. Dealing 150 damage is no joke, especially with no repercussions. As soon as you get your 150, you're good to go. You're not dealing damage to yourself, you're not losing energy, so it's absolutely awesome once you get going. Blacephalon's great to close out, and like I said, can deal up to 170 damage with the right cards. I have Beastite and Red to potentially do that if I need it. But if Charizard needs it as well, already dealing 150 damage, you can utilize Red with Charizard to deal 170 damage. So that's also nice that you have the option to deal 170 damage at least once with both Charizard and Blacephalon. Lily is there to keep Charizard alive as much as possible because Charizard is going to be the go-to in this deck. It is extremely important and a great card. I absolutely love utilizing Charizard. It is a fantastic card. Let me know in the comments section what you think of this deck. Have you utilized the Charizard Blacephalon combination? And if you have, what do you think of it? Are you going to trash it? Is it just not for you? Or do you love it? I really like utilizing this. Again, I found a lot of success and I really enjoy utilizing this, but I'm curious to hear as to what your opinions of this deck combination is. Let me know what you'd switch out. Is there a card that you'd prefer in this deck and one that you'd take out? Let me know in the comments section. Let me know in the comments section any Pokemon you want to see a deck for. I will come out with a deck for any Pokemon that you want to see. Also, let me know what your Charizard combinations are. I love coming out with Charizard decks, so I'm interested to hear what Charizard decks you have up your sleeve to help you dominate the competition. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more Pokemon TCG content. I do a bunch of other video games, so feel free to check those out as well. I do have a couple of decks on the way. I have a Rampardos Silvally deck that's absolutely awesome. I also have a Solgaleo Shinnetic deck that I love that's killing it for me in ranked right now, so be on the lookout for those. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and until next time, peace.